Virgo, welcome back to my channel. I am Mariana. I will do the vibes inside for you today. So I hope you're well out there, Virgo. I have pre-shuffled your cards and I have already opened the cards. So I have a message that I'm going to give you. I try to do the readings a bit shorter, so maybe it's more convenient for you and maybe also for me. But we'll see about that. I like diving into the readings, but I recognize that they are long, usually long, right? And somehow I want to say there's a message here that definitely has to do about time. I have the Time Master here, and the Time Master is like you could say an outcome card of what is going on at the moment here. I think for you, Virgo, it's like there's an element of time that has that affects you if you resonate with this story that I'm telling. Because I have the Page of Water here as the first overall energy, so this could be what's on your mind, you could say. Here I see, well, the page can be a young energy. So here we could have a young woman or a young man. Not necessarily gender specific, but younger, I would say, younger energy. The younger energy is important for Virgo. Because Virgo, if you take a look at the zodiac in regards to the solar system, and the season of Virgo. The season of Virgo, at least in the upper hemisphere, is a time of, you could say, the harvest time. The seeds have already been put in, and the sun has been there. The seeds put in spring. The summer has been there. The big sun of Leo has been there. And Virgo season is usually a season that starts out with maybe still beautiful weather, right? That's the young energy we have here. But Virgo season can be quite diverse. It can actually also include at the later part of Virgo, you may have more wind. Sometimes there is sun all the season. Sometimes it becomes colder, sometimes there's not as much harvest, or the harvest is done, right? We see it in the fields, the harvest is done. So there's nothing more there. And if we take that and we look at it from the perspective of, I have the High Priestess here, so if we look at it from the perspective of a woman, her prime time is when she's young. In the sense of beauty, maybe innocence, but also shine and glow and, you know, everything sits in the right places, right? You are not necessarily, if you are young, your body is, at least how we see it in the world, how it is announced, how it is brought forward through media and film and everything, there is a stronger desire to look at the young and the beautiful and pretty, right? The sporty, the models, the top models, the actors have to look in a certain way, right? They have to keep up some kind of appearance. Your breast must not sag, right? You know, and there are all these cosmetic procedures done and everything because we desire youth, we desire the young. And the interesting thing here, I think, is that it's like, because when the High Priestess is here, when we look closer at this card, we see there are these three moon pictures here. New moon, we could say full moon, a new moon becoming a full moon, and then what is that called? It progresses and regresses. So it shifts between these ties back and forth here. So from being, like the young and beautiful one, to being the mature one, this is sometimes, we say maiden, mother, and crone, right? We use those terms. And if you are in the crone season of your life, you could say there could be certain things that you feel like you can't do anymore, right? Like being a young girl, or acting like one, dressing like one, like playing, I don't know, but doing things that seemingly are only for the young. I don't know about that, but that's what I feel like. The Page of Water would be a young energy. It can be a child, but it can also be, I would say, young and pretty. So we could talk about how you look, right? Like do you have wrinkles, or do you feel like you need some kind of I don't know, correction? There could be an idea about correction. Virgo is about health, usually very much into sports and supplements and food, the diet and things like that. The page is, I feel like there's a theme of, I wouldn't say worshipping the young, but there is this idea, at least. I have the decision card that is clarifying the Page of Water here, and I want to read from it. It says here, release yourself from that which holds you back, a need to detox, unnecessary worry based on lack of self-confidence. So I feel like there's something here that you are wondering if you could do that. Something that is maybe young, or it's something the young do, right? Let's say, I know this will not go in every culture and everything, but let's say you go to the beach and you decide to be sunbathing topless, right? That could be something that the young do, right? They wear the tight bikini and everything, and maybe you feel like I don't feel like I should do that. I don't feel comfortable with that. It could be anything, but I feel like there is an emphasis about time and the aging of the body, right? The body that is aging. And maybe, you could look at photos from your past when you were 20, right? Where you look great here. But I want to say this is underlying energy. So this is like a driver in you that wants to drive something forward. I feel like it's an energy that wants you to confront yourself with this. That wants you to look at this. Like it can be something like you again, if this has to do with time or appearance or something, that maybe it has to do with a hobby that you had when you were a child, something you loved to do when you were a child, an ability you have perhaps. The Page of Water can be, I would say first water, and first water can be very caring and very compassionate, but also very like sensitive and picking up on a lot of energies, a bit of a swamp, or a bit of an absorber of energies, and maybe you had a best hobby, like maybe there was something you did that you loved to do, being this one, right? Remembering what that was and being this one. Because it seems like the high priestess here, she's usually, you could say, like the crone, right? She is here we have it, it's like she is far away. Or she is as oh. Now I tipped everything over. Great. I feel that's a part of the reading. I'll get back to you, Virgo. Hi, Virgo. I'm back. I'm sorry about the break. It's just I had coffee everywhere, and the cards got pretty wet, and so I just had to like clean the space up here again for you. So when something like this happens, I feel like it's actually part of the message. I was talking about her, the Page of Water here. And spilling a cup. Spilling a cup would, for me, mean something like maybe lost love, or lost, or wasted, like wasted effort in something. And when she comes up as a page, I feel like it's almost like she's a child. So this could be you as a child. I talked about hobbies from when you were young, maybe abilities, things you can do or could do, or things you could sense that somehow you can still do, I think. This is a driver. It drives something forward here that wants you to look at this. That's why she's here. That's why she is overall energy. That's why she is in your face, you could say. Like that. That's maybe why you look at her right now, right? That she is, or him, her or him. That you look at this energy. It can be a person, of course, in your life. It can be yourself as young. And because this is a driver, and it comes from, you could say, deeper down in your consciousness, this could relate to your moon energy. So let's say that you have a water sign in your moon energy. So she can have some kind of abilities here, but there is a decision that was made about her. And maybe that is because she failed somehow. That's why the cup fell over, right? And there was a mess everywhere. Like it was all over the table, on the floor, and my cards got pretty messy here. It's almost like a pollution, right? A pollution of, or like losing the trust that what you had, what you felt, because this is watery, right? It's a sensing, feeling, emotional kind of vibe, energy vibe interpretation. And maybe you spilled, maybe you said, maybe you declared your love, right, to someone. And maybe it wasn't reciprocated, right? And you made a decision here. It says, release yourself from that which holds you back, a need to detox unnecessary worry based on lack of self-confidence. And she holds a a bird cage here with a bird in it. And there are all these other free birds here that she would like. She has actually opened it. I don't know if you can see that, but she has opened the door to the cage here. But the bird is still sitting there, right? It's not really participating. It's almost like, did you have problems finding friends when you were young, or did something happen that from that day forward it changed everything? From that way forward it changed everything. You would rather decide to sit a little more alone here and hide, even though the door was open. Maybe you even had parents who said, go out there, go out and play, right? But you decided maybe not to. The High Priestess here, as I said, is a driver. She wants to come forward with. This is. I wanna say this is the mature version of this one. This could be like your higher self or oversoul or something. It's something that is deeply embedded with you, in you. And she is very big here. Like she has a big presence. She knows exactly what she talks about. She knows things that are between the lines because she's a high priestess here. She works with the feminine. She works with the dark. She works with the things that are unsaid, but we can feel it, right? We know it. We know it. We can sense it. And this is actually what she is very good at. But I think that something definitely happened, Virgo, with you. Like this doesn't happen, or I usually have a glass of something here on my table that I take a sip of from time to time, but this doesn't happen like that normally. And it was all over the place, right? So I think it's like somehow I get the feeling that it was too much. Like maybe you were quite sensitive here, and it became too much, right? It's like a child should suddenly have this, right? Have all of this. Like a child that is barely born suddenly should embrace all of this and be that big, you could say. And it kind of tipped everything over. I think it's like it. Maybe you made a decision that you were not like others, or it restrained you somehow. It could be something you said or something you did that the reaction to it was way too big. Way too big, and therefore you did not trust it, right? You couldn't trust it. So I see the page sitting here, right? And not participating in the ordinary life. It becomes still and secluded and withdrawn and maybe hiding almost here. But this is up for healing, I think. I said that with Cancer, yeah. It could be Cancer energy because first water here, the page of water, the first water sign is Cancer. Could be Cancer energy, maybe you have a Cancer moon. It doesn't have to be, but it's just the Cancerian energy is this innocent, trusting, naive, you could say. It's the youngest water sign. It just came here from the light. It doesn't know anything, right? It hasn't developed. It has enormous sensibilities. So to raise such a child probably takes a bit of understanding. Otherwise, you can get yourself in trouble here, right? You can be too trusting. You can put your faith in something, and then if it's not reciprocated, for instance, right, it will not be, it will break your heart perhaps. The cup fell over, everything was spilled over my table on the floor and everything. The cards got quite wet and some of them almost destroyed. It's like it could have been a massive feeling of breakdown somehow. Maybe, as I said, maybe you offered your love to someone, because under the High Priestess here, I have woman holding a heart. So she is the driver within you that kind of wants to push an energy forward here. I feel like she wants you to trust yourself, that you are, that there is love here, right? That and what it is that you can do, like what it is you can do here, what it is you can sense, and what it is you can pick up on. It is not bad, right? You can pick up on yeah, I get it, like it's like a knowingness that there is something here, right? That there is something. It could be something like picking up on someone else's vibe, and if they have an interest in you. Or you can pick up on their potential, right? The potential behind the mask, behind everything they do. You can see their heart, right? Or you can see if something happened to their heart here. Because sometimes I see this card as she's holding it, but it's also like she's turning, like almost like she's kind of doing like that, and then holds the heart over here, right? That she's protecting the heart, but still she's still curious enough to look. She's still curious enough to look, but she's kind of turned her back like that, like she's protecting her heart here. And it's because there are kind of, it's like they're taking bites of it, right? Like there's been some kind of and that's what I feel like she has experienced here. She has experienced that something happened that tore her heart, I feel like. And she was maybe pretty young, right? And she made a decision from that day forward, perhaps, to just stay here. That she couldn't trust this. And again, I feel like she is watching the others play, right? She's watching the others play out here, the other birds here. But it's like you could even see it like this, right? Like she's looking at the other birds, but she's kind of shielding herself here because she's protective about something. So protective about someone, or protective about a part of yourself here. From when you were very young. The High Priestess, though, she is still there. Like now she is just grown, right? She's becoming older, and the thing that she picked up on, she can still do that. She still has that. But she has maybe matured now. She's no longer a page. She's no longer a child. You are no longer a child. You are now a grown woman or grown man, and you have had youth maybe like mid-age, and you've maybe come to the crone part of your life, and you're still maybe holding back on this, right? You're still holding back on something here, turning your, like, protecting yourself somehow here. But she wants you to look at this, right? She wants you to look at what was, I want to say, damaged. What was damaged? That's what I feel like the coffee, it's spilled all over the place. It's like you were, I even almost want to say fragmented. And when you look at the cover photo of these videos this time around, there's this fireball that kind of explodes. That's kind of what I feel like, kind of spill all over. And from that way, it felt like that, right? Like your heart got torn somehow. So there is something about the aging, like I said something about the aging in the beginning. It may not be your body. I get more and more now the feeling of heart here, that especially after that, it's almost like it shook me up, like it woke me somehow. I don't know if you have, were you a daydreaming kind of child, Virgo? Because Cancer can be that, right? They can be a bit like daydreamy in their ways. And in the Cancer reading, you can go back and look at it. It said something like, it is here because it wants to heal. It wants to be healed. So there's also something from the past that kind of wants to come forward to be healed. So maybe there's a kind of a Cancer energy that, well, the Cancerian energy, I see it as, because it's first water, I see it as it's sensitive, and it's like, imagine a water creature that has never been here before. It's the youngest one. It has not ever experienced Earth, and it comes here. And it has to adapt to all the things that are here. But it has not learned yet how to, maybe protect itself, or to navigate through different environments with noise and opinions. And again, she's young here, right? So what does she do if she comes across a grown person who wants her to do something, and she doesn't want that, or she doesn't like it? It's too much for her, right? She could be sensitive in that way. So where a Scorpio has been here before, they're more mature. They have tried this. They know this stage here. They don't want to be that vulnerable. She's kind of vulnerable in her, or she could be seen like that, vulnerable, right? That is maybe also why she's in the cave here. Because even though the door is open, it's just like she doesn't feel comfortable out there. It's like that. Could be that it's like there's too much noise, right? There's too much space, and what if a bigger bird comes here and wants to join? But I don't like the big birds, right? I don't like it's like a little fish or a little crab that suddenly has to play with a bigger fish creature. A crab that wants to play with a Scorpio who has a poisonous tail. But the crab doesn't know that, right? Or a shark or something. It's something like, it could be, because there's so much space here. And I have a difficult time in analyzing it somehow, whether it's safe. There's something about safety. like the way she actually, how the cards are placed on the table is like this, right? She's in the cave here, and then she kind of, she turns, she looks, right? She's interested here, but she's like shielding herself from actually engaging. The Time Master here is the card that you're supposed to, you could say, from this experience. If you are hearing this one, this one is still you. I feel like it's just a more mature version of you. So now it's like, again, you were young here. You were young and something happened that kind of flipped everything for you. It kind of switched everything around. And enjoying life and going out there and being playful, you kind of did not do that. And when you don't do that, I want to say, there is an amount of experience that you don't have. The free flying here. In the free flying, we do have, you know, like self-expression. We have maybe experience, right? All kinds of experience. Experiencing in different situations with different people. And again, you may meet up with a Scorpio. You may meet up with a shark. How do you handle that, right? I get a feeling of loneliness with this one, right? They don't feel like they don't dare to go out there, and it's like something got interrupted. I feel like it took bites here. Yeah. It feels like it. That's how I see this card. She's holding her heart, but she's actually kind of protecting it and some like not wanting to engage. I feel like it's difficult to engage with like the normal life here. And that's everything from being a young person. Look at that. That is, you know, like going to school. It is going to the first parties, school parties. Maybe it's dating and being sexual. Maybe it is having like more adult relationships. It could be someone who has lived. You could be someone who has lived most of your life as a single person, right? Due to this. And I feel like this one is here to confront you. It's almost also like she's looking through a veil here, right? That there is some kind of veil, and she kind of looks through it, or pushes her a bit of her face through to give you a message, right? To give you a message here about that you are shielding yourself, or that there are gaps here, things about the heart you don't know. Because you're shielding yourself, you are protecting yourself, so that there is an experience that you don't have. You don't have it. Maybe you haven't really been dating much. You have kept yourself more restricted at home. Again, Virgo can be well, if Virgo is out of balance, I really feel like it can come to the point that things have to be perfectionistic. It really has to like be very like that, you know, like there are all these check marks that needs to be in order for you to be in it, right? that could be what the decision is about here, and a decision that was made when you were very young, I feel like here. And about a lot of check marks, right? That only if this is there, and only if this is there, and this must definitely not be there, and I won't allow this, or this is not tolerable, or this can be done, and if they are like this or like that, or all kinds of like controlling mechanisms, then you turn your back to it, right? You turn your back and you stay there, right? You're looking, and there's an interest, but you're not engaging. And Page of Water can be very, again, the young, I would say a young Cancer would be someone who, like they could be so, I've said it before with Cancers can fall in love with the trees and the butterflies and the daydreaming and like romance and the prince and the princess and fairy tales and unicorns and magic and rainbows and you know, like if you live in a world like that, and you're growing up, or you are a child and you're supposed to grow up and like face the music, you could say. Facing the music is taking a Cancer out of that world. Like that is not a world you can stay in. And this could be what the cage is. The cage could be like this bubble, right? And it's very trusting and very caring and very kind, and it really wants to engage and it's hopeful and kind and loving and caring. And if you are not reciprocating that for a child, if you're rejecting a Cancer child like that, I believe that could, I don't know if it would break their heart, but they can't understand it. Because their world is very dreamy still, right? It's very dreamy still when they're very young here. And they don't understand that you, or let's say your parents, that your parents actually live in the real world. So they have to pay mortgage and do the laundry and everything, that they can't play with you all day, right? But a Cancer child may not think like that, right? They have this bubble, and they look at the sunshine and the raindrops, and they have this imaginary realm in between all of that. That's how a Cancer child can live through the day. They can live in their daydreams. But I feel like with the spilling of the coffee here, it's like something happened that kind of ripped you out of that existence, that kind of imaginary realm. And somehow I feel like if you get, if you maybe align yourself with this idea that at that point, when you are that child, or you are talking to a child here who live in that kind of dream world, that you are actually, when you try to make them see the world as it is, that there are things to be done. I can't sit and hold your hand every day. That is also a romantic idea of the Cancer. The Cancer is about the home and the fourth house. It's creating a nest together. We sit and hold hands all day, a romantic looking in the eyes all the time, kind of. That's the very immature Cancer, right? Because they come fresh from the light, you could say. And in the light, there is no such things as work and building things and cleaning and cooking, and it's just awareness, it's just consciousness. There's no such thing as upholding the body. It doesn't exist, right? There's no body there. So at least this is how I interpret the Cancer energy, the Cancerian, or a very immature water energy. It's very, very beautiful, right? It's very, very beautiful, actually. But in the world we live in on the planet here, we know that the Cancer may need to learn something, right? They need to learn some stuff. They need to become older and mature and get hold of their emotions. Like, that's why they are here, right? They have to learn about emotions and sensitivities and stuff like that. So I feel like I'm talking a lot about water Cancer energy, where it's actually your reading. Virgo, I think that you're the hermit, right? We say that, the hermit, the magician. So it's also about, can you imagine that you can turn this around? The time master would say that, right? Could you imagine that you could actually turn some of this around? What if you could get some of your magic back? Probably a decision you made that you had to shut that door, right? That this was not beneficial for you to have that kind of approach to something, because you got your heart broken in the process. But what if there is something else to be found here? I feel like the High Priestess is wanting you to, like, she's very, very capable, the High Priestess here, right? She knows how to navigate the intuitive realm very, very well. This can actually be, because it kind of comes through like a veil here, that it could be almost a feeling that something from another side is speaking to you. It speaks to you about this. It speaks to you about this. Like like a consciousness, like a knowingness, a voice, the feeling that you get information about some kind of restrictions, or it's a memory, right? That this could be the feel, as I said, it's like a driver in you. It drives a process forward. It could be the feeling that from time to time this one pops in and gives you like a memory, right? It gives you a memory that eventually you know why you have been guarding your heart. There's one big break here. That could be the coffee spill, right, that I have. And then there are these others here that are still there. That kind of, every time you have experienced something here, you kind of turn your back to it, right? Still looking, but turning your back to it. Not quite trusting. And that's exactly what the Cancer usually is. A young Cancer energy is very trusting, maybe too trusting, right? Because it comes from love. It's a love energy. It comes from the unconditional love. That there is no reason why I shouldn't love you, right? But they may expect that from you as well, or from the parents. You may have expected it from someone else to give that to you. And you may have said it. You may have offered your cup here, and they didn't reciprocate it. And that can break the Cancer heart, right? It can break this sensitive, dreamy, romantic, gentle, caring, kind, loving heart. It hasn't learned yet. The vibration here is not unconditional love, and that can be quite problematic for someone who has that kind of vision, right? So maybe at a young age you may have learned to kind of shield yourself. You are looking, the door is open, but you're really not that comfortable, right? Not comfortable, you may not trust. And when you're not trusting, you bring that mistrust with you into the next relationship. And maybe that's also why there are different, like there is one big problem here. And that may be the one that happened here. And then there has been these others here. But they are smaller because you knew that you had to be a bit on guard. You become older, right? And you do have these memories that come through. Or like I don't know, memories. Maybe it's like like a guide. Again, she's very, very sensitive and intuitive. And actually quite capable of connecting with the spiritual realm. And someone could come through here with like information. I got Aquarius energy actually stepping through a bit in the pre-shuffle. And I had the star card also jump out to me. It could be like an ancestor, a helper, a spirit here that kind of wants to step forward, giving you pieces of information here. But somehow I get the feeling that the sensitivity you have is not a bad thing, right? It's not a bad thing. And you becoming controlling, perfectionistic, having the check marks and everything, it's probably not going to make you happy, right? And it's you're still shielding or guarding yourself here. The Time Master card, as I showed you in the beginning, the Time Master card is interesting in this scenario, I feel like. Because it talks about when the Time Master visits you, he asks a most important question. Will you break free from limited cause and effect thinking by moving beyond the linear illusion and welcoming the cyclic quality of life? I feel like it's almost like the Time Master and she also here, the High Priestess, it's like you can get your childhood back, right? You can get some of your childhood freedom and free flow and trust and everything. You can get some of this back if you believe in it. It doesn't matter that you have aged or that you're older now. You can still have some of it back. You find yourself in a moment when the wheel of time turns and you are able to influence the past, thus changing the present and future simultaneously. This is the true test of the Time Master. You're being invited to take back your power, so let go of the past and choose to step into your life. In this moment, you are all powerful. You are the Time Master. Everything is possible now. Right? That is the invitation of the Time Master here. The medicine of the Time Master says, sometimes it appears that you're running out of time. You worry you won't get what you need or want. Everything gets stuck like a log jam. This is only in your mind. Time expands and contracts according to your ability to be mindful and observant, fully engaged in your now moment. The now moment is actually quite crucial here, I feel like, because the past is in the past. Meaning that whatever it was you engaged in at that point, and the cups were spilled all over the place, destroyed something. What you offered or what you were part of or what you experienced is then. Like it's not the now moment you're in. In the now moment you can sit differently. And you have learned, right? You have lived more of your life now. You can go back to that situation and help yourself heal. Because you sit now with the knowledge of a high priest. You sit with more knowledge than your earlier version here of you did, right? And even if we talk about that this is a child in your awareness, a child around you, you sit with more experience. If you feel like you are like that child, you have a cancer child, let's say that, but you know what it's like to have your heart broken, right? You can tell them, but you can tell them about this. You can help them not to close down, right? You can talk to them about what happened, or you can witness these memories here that come up. You can look at them, and you can heal yourself from it. That's what the Time Master here is asking, right? It's only in your mind. Time expands and contracts according to your ability to be mindful and observant, fully engaged in your now moment. It's time to release the story of your past. Equally, it's time to release your need to know the details of the future. All the treasure magically reveals itself when you remain relaxed and present in what is directly in front of you and nothing else. Then you realize you have all the time in the world. You will never run out of it. There is something about time, like feeling that you have lost something, that you are now aging. You will never find that love in your life, or you are not attractive anymore. So how should you be able to? It could even be the feeling that you were wondering if you should offer something again, that you should engage again, like you should try to engage in maybe a loving, caring situation again with someone. But because your heart was spilled totally, it kind of exploded at that point. And when that happens for a very young child, it's an overwhelm. It's like a soul fragmentation. And then retrieving it back into like a more complete form is difficult, right? Maybe that's why you need the High Priestess, right? She works with those energies. She's and she could say to you, right? She could say why you are shielding yourself. It's because there's something here, and there's a big one. There's one big kind of overwhelm feeling here, that kind of, and it's right in the middle. So it was significant, right? A significant break here. And not fun at all, right? Not fun. One of the cards that were almost torn here is at the bottom of the deck for the decision here. The decision that was made once about, I can't trust this, I don't want to do this, I stay in the cave here. This is the card at the bottom, Ace of Raphael. So it says a positive new emotional experience, fulfilling romantic relationship, and deep and lasting spiritual insights. There is something about trusting your spiritual insights. The Ace here talks about new. So it could be that as a child you had a new experience. about romance, and maybe, as I said, you made an offer. It is the Ace here, like a cup. You gave a cup to someone, and if it wasn't reciprocated, it kind of broke everything, right? It broke everything. And it could be, you know, like a childhood romance could be like you believe it's the love of your life, and they say no and walk the other way. That would be devastating for a young child, Cancerian kind of vibe to it. But the Time Master, it's like you can visit this, go back, you can look at it, and you can heal it if you let yourself look at the memories or the puzzle pieces. Here you can try to figure out how to heal it, right? Again, she is a mature woman. She's young, she's not a young child. Well, she's not old, right? But she's definitely somehow she's learned to like turn her shoulder somehow. So it seems like from being totally exposed and open, she has learned to turn her shoulder and be a bit cautious about when to engage in something. Time is a construct of the human mind through which life events are seen to flow in a straight line from past to future. This, however, is an illusion. Time moves in patterns, fractals, sometimes turning like a wheel, and others moving straight as an arrow. Humans see time like a ticking clock, and this image reminds us that there is only so much of it to spend in life, like a kind of currency. At any given moment, you can see time in all its infinite potential, at once vast and all-encompassing, then shrunken and finite. It all depends on perspective. You see, I also feel like because something was spilled so dramatically, it changed the entire, you know, as I said, from living in this magical bubble, right, where everything is romantic and beautiful and warm and magic, and there are rainbows and unicorns, and again, the Cancer child can fall in love with a little puppy and flowers and butterflies, and it's worryless, like a worryless kind of existence, right? But when something happened that spills everything, there is this seed of worry, there's this seed of caution, and it changes your way of seeing life. How you move through life when you're worried, or when you move through life when you're worryless. It's very different, right? Two people living the same life, even in the same household, can have two very different experiences of life if they are worryless and if they're worrying all the time, right? So when you worry all the time, you have the focus of certain things. When you worry less, you have the focus of just enjoying yourself and just participating in the things you like, and not worry about like joining the party here, right? Not worrying about dating, not worrying about flirting, not worrying about being part of this group here in some other way. Going to the disco or the club or something, going out, I don't know, mingling, you know, that is, it's you don't worry, right? And I feel like the Time Master is here to kind of say that if you look at these things, if you use your abilities here, because you are a magician, Virgo. If you use your psychic abilities here, you can have that breakthrough, and it's like you can see through, or something here sees through to why she's sitting like this, right? Why she's doing this. So there could be memories, narratives, his stories here, right? That can help you, I want to say, release this one from worry, right? That she has been worried too long. Something spilled and she got afraid. So from being not afraid, she got afraid. Anxious, nervous, disengaging, passive, withdrawn, something like that. And the Time Master kind of tells us that it is possible. It is possible. You find yourself in a moment where the wheel of time turns and you are able to influence the past, thus changing the present and future simultaneously. So if you can go back in your mind and do this mind work, you could say, with the understanding you have now, you can even do what I call like inner child work. You can be your own parent and tell that part of you that got so discouraged, that got so disrupted or broken or broke. You can tell it that it won't happen again, right? That you are here now. You understand that they went through something very terrible, and it ruined a lot, and that you the High Priestess here is a more mature energy, right? She represents all of these stages here. So she can understand the maiden, she can understand the mother, and she can understand the crone from the crone perspective also. And she can guide someone like this, right? I want to say, especially because you are all of them, right? You are all of them. That's why you are High Priestess here. The Hermit goes within. The Hermit seeks in the dark. The dark considered the feminine, right? The subconscious, the things that are hidden, perhaps. And this is where you find this one, right? And she made a decision once that she couldn't trust the world. It was too dangerous. It was too much somehow, right? So she stayed there. She looked at it and kind of maybe just through the window engaged, or only, had, maybe you preferred just one-to-one interactions. It was easier if you were just 1-to-1 instead of 1-to-10, right? I don't know, something like that. It's interacting only when the ticks could be made, right? When the ticks, the checklist. From this perspective, it could be almost neurotic, right? That or OCD-like. That having a behavior where you instantly turn your back like that. But the time Master is inviting you to go there and look at it, and or talk about it, perhaps, right? Talk about it, and seek to change it. Yeah. That's what I have, and it's like you never run out of time. Like the time is always right, for something like this. And even if you find out there are certain things from your childhood you wanna do again, right? You wanna engage in childlike play or something, you can do that. You will figure out a way to do that, so that you you would say it's like building new memories, right? Allowing yourself to build new memories. And, of course, change the future you then have. Yeah, this is what I have for you, Virgo. I hope this helps somehow. I feel like again, I want to refer to the very beginning when I talked about like the harvest time, that there's a time to put in seeds, and then there's a growing period of the crop, right? And then there's a harvest time. And after the harvest time, the field can look kind of boring and dull and representing older age and so, right? So there's this kind of a maturing or an upward moving energy, and then it goes downwards toward elderly life, right? Somehow I feel like it's almost like you have the upward feeling of life is missing. You know, like you have come to the prime. You know, you have maybe you got children, right? You got married, you have children, whatever, and you are on maybe on what we would think of like the elderly, or a, I don't know, maybe crone-like age now. And you're looking back on your life and you only see the worrying, or you only see the it's like that there's no spring. Like there's a bit missing, or a puzzle piece missing here from your memory, right? Because you didn't have it. You sat here. You were sitting here instead. And time went by and you got older and everything, and you engaged in that life in some way, but always with shielding yourself. And I feel like it's almost like the growing of something, the first experience that when we come into life and there's so much to figure out and everything, and we learn with it, like the happy memory of childhood, for instance. It's like it's not there. It's like this dark, muddy pool somehow, right? And I think that is the thing that you can change, right? So that even if you are a crone and you are kind of being older or so, whatever, there is this feeling of having lived a full life, right? Needing or feeling that you want to live a full life, that you want to leave this life knowing I've lived a full life. And for now, it may feel like it hasn't been like that. Like something is missing. And you want that part back. And you may feel you're running out of time. But the time master says that that's not true, right? You haven't wasted your youth, for instance, or something. You can get some of this back. You're just needing to do it in an older body. But you can secure your body, right? Because you are in an older body and you know everything about the world today, you can secure it. You can make sure that what it is that you want to experience from childhood, for instance, that you can make sure you set the arena for it. Let's say you've always wanted to go horseback riding, right? But your parents never allowed you to, for instance. And you always loved horses, but it was not a possibility. So maybe you're worried, or you were told all kinds of stories, how horrible that is. And if you fall off, you can break your back and then you won't walk anymore. And all the awful things that could happen that kind of just shut you down here. What you can do now is you can have a conversation, right, with a horseback rider or teacher. You can tell them that you have these worries. You can tell them, you can ask them, is it true that blah, blah, blah? You can set up the arena for you starting horseback riding, right? So that they know how you feel, and you know that they are aware and they are ready to help me, right? They're ready to help me if I feel uncomfortable, which you didn't have when you were young, right? When that's what happened. You were not comforted. You were not contained, you would say. You were not held safe, right? And this you can argue now because you are older, right? You can tell them that you always had this fear and you really need them to be there and not leave or whatever, that you really want to overcome this and you actually like horses a lot and so on. But you can communicate now, right? And therefore you can be able to, like your own parent, set the arena for something, right? And therefore you can still have some of these experiences, though you are in an older body. I hope this makes sense. This is what I have for you, Virgo. I hope this helps somehow. Take care of yourself and go out there and do something childish, maybe. That I really feel like you deserve that, Virgo, right? Take care of yourself. Love and light. Bye-bye.